You queued up 100 clips in WAN 2.6, got the bill, then ran the same batch through WAN 2.7, and watched the cost jump 2.5 times. That's the decision sitting between these two models right now. WAN 2.6 is Alibaba's lean, budget-friendly model. WAN 2.7 is the cinematic upgrade. So which one actually earns your money? Test 1. Cost. You're probably thinking the newer model has to be pricier, but here's how bad it can actually get. Run 1,000 seconds of video through OpenRouter and WAN 2.6 costs you $40. WAN 2.7 costs you $100. That's $60 gone on a single batch. And if you're iterating daily, that gap compounds fast. I pulled the published OpenRouter listings and the official Alibaba Cloud Doc side by side. On OpenRouter, WAN 2.6 runs 4 cents per second, WAN 2.7 runs 10 cents per second, so WAN 2.6 is 2.5 times cheaper there. On Alibaba Cloud Direct, though, the rates are nearly identical at both 720p and 1080p, which is a real caveat worth knowing before you assume the gap is universal. The gap only bites you on OpenRouter. Go direct through Alibaba Cloud and the pricing is almost identical between the two models, so your access point matters a lot. But most developers routing through OpenRouter for convenience are the ones who feel this the hardest, and that's a big chunk of the audience for these models. WAN 2.6 takes cost, and I expected the Alibaba Cloud parity to soften this more than it did. But for anyone on OpenRouter, that 2.5x gap is very real money. That puts WAN 2.6 up 1-0. I live inside these tools every single day, so I catch the billing surprises before they wreck a project budget. Drop a comment if the OpenRouter pricing gap has already caught you off guard. Test 2. Output quality. The objection I keep hearing is that both models are Alibaba's WAN series, so how different can the output really be? The answer is on the LO leaderboard at Artificial Analysis, where image-to-video scores separate these two by a number that's hard to dismiss. WAN 2.6 sits at 895 ELO, so watch where WAN 2.7 lands. Pull up the Artificial Analysis leaderboard and WAN 2.7 scores 1094 ALO on image-to-video, a 189-point gap over WAN 2.6's 895, and VBench backs it up at 85.1 versus 84.2. On top of that, WAN 2.7 adds a lip sync, ambient sound, and voice cloning to its native audio, and its thinking mode plans the generation before it starts, which means better instruction follow-through on complex prompts. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. WAN 2.7 wins output quality, and I didn't expect the ELO gap to be this wide between two models in the same family. But 199 points is a real, meaningful spread on a community leaderboard. That ties the score at 1 apiece. Test 3. Speed. 60 seconds of wall time to generate a 5-second clip at 720p on an A100 is the baseline for WAN 2.6. And that's the number you're staring at every time you're waiting on a render while a client is on the phone. The question is whether WAN 2.7's bigger 27 billion parameter architecture actually costs you more time or somehow gets out of its own way. WAN 2.7 generates that same 5-second 720p clip in roughly 55 seconds on an A100, about 5 seconds faster than WAN 2.6's 60, and API latency comes in at 2.3 seconds versus 2.5. These are community-reported figures on comparable hardware, so treat the exact numbers as directional. But the direction is clear and consistent across multiple reports. WAN 2.7 takes speed too, which I honestly didn't see coming, given it's running a model nearly twice the size, but the architecture improvements more than cover the extra weight. That puts WAN 2.7 ahead 2-1. So WAN 2.7 is better on quality and speed, but WAN 2.6 is cheaper on OpenRouter. Before you decide, ease of use and platform availability are still on the table, and one of them could actually change the math depending on how you're deploying these models and which infrastructure you're already locked into. Test 4. Ease of use. The failure mode here is real. You pick the better model, spend a day integrating it, and then find out it requires a different SDK version, a different auth flow, or a different endpoint structure than what you've already built. Switching mid-project is painful, so let's see if WAN 2.7's upgrade actually changes anything about how you access and use these models. I went through the official Alibaba Cloud Model Studio docs and the open router listings for both models, and the access story is identical. Both run on Alibaba Cloud API, both are on Open Router, and both have a direct web interface. Same platforms, same auth, same endpoint patterns, and there's genuinely no learning curve difference between them, which means you can swap versions without touching your integration. The only real caveat is that WAN 2.7's thinking mode is a new feature with its own prompt structure, so if you're using that specifically, there's a small ramp up. But for standard API calls and web access, these two models are completely interchangeable from a workflow standpoint, and that's actually a good thing for anyone who wants to test both before committing. Ease of use is a tie, which is pretty rare in a comparison like this, but the data just doesn't give either model an edge here. Score stays at WAN 2.7, 2, WAN 2.6, 1 tied. Test 5. Platform availability. A scenario that trips up a lot of builders. You've deployed on Cloudflare Workers AI because of latency requirements and need to know your model is actually available there. Or you want to self-host on your own GPU and need the weights on Hugging Face. Picking the wrong model and finding out it's not on your platform is a day-wrecking problem. I went through each platform's model catalog, and the story is the same across all of them. WAN 2.6 and WAN 2.7 both run on Alibaba Cloud, both are on Open Router, both are on Cloudflare Workers AI, and both have open weights on Hugging Face for self-hosting. 3 platforms plus open source weights identical for each model, so there's no platform advantage either way. The one thing worth flagging is that open weights on Hugging Face mean different things depending on your setup. WAN 2.6's 14 billion parameter footprint is meaningfully lighter to self-host than WAN 2.7's 27 billion parameter architecture. So if you're running your own inference, WAN 2.6 has a real hardware advantage that doesn't show up in the platform availability count. Platform availability is another tie, which makes sense, given Alibaba released both models with the same distribution strategy. Final score, WAN 2.7, 2, WAN 2.6, 1, 2 tied. WAN 2.6 wins on cost, plain and simple. 4 cents per second on Open Router versus 10 cents means it's 2.5 times cheaper for high volume or iterative work. And if you're self-hosting, the 14 billion parameter footprint runs on lighter hardware than WAN 2.7's 27 billion, which is a real operational saving over time. WAN 2.7 wins on everything that shows up in the final output. It scores 1094 ELO versus 895 on the image to video arena. It adds lip sync, ambient sound, and voice cloning on top of native audio, and its thinking mode plans the generation before it starts so complex prompts actually land. It's also slightly faster at around 55 seconds per 5-second clip versus 60 if you're iterating fast or running high volume on a budget. WAN 2.6 at 4 cents per second is your model. If the output is going to a client or a real audience, WAN 2.7 is worth every bit of that 2.5x price jump because the quality gap is too wide to ignore. One thing the docs don't spell out, WAN 2.7's first and last frame control for image to video is listed in the registry, but there's no published accuracy benchmark for it. So if precise frame boundary control is core to your workflow, I couldn't find data confirming how reliably it holds. And you'll want to test that before committing to production. If you're shopping across the broader video generation space and want to see how these stack up against the competition, I ran the same kind of breakdown on Runway Gen 4.5 versus Kling 3.0, which is a completely different price to quality fight. That video is up next and worth watching back to back with this one.